All right, everybody, and welcome to episode 241 of the 9 Years podcast. I am Nick Draper. I am joined by the face of the BBC Sport website, Mr. Stuart Deakins, and delighted to be joined even by Glyn Hodges today. Glyn, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. It is much appreciated as always.
Yeah, no problem. Pleasure.
How are things at the moment with you and COVID? We'll get straight into it. We're back into lockdown, and how's it affecting you?
Well, it's been fine. We more or less got the herd immunity with the players, and now it's that 90 days, and now we're all being tested. So I think the only I mean, my family are all right, but I'm not about like obviously football. I think there's only 3 players who actually had it. So we're all back and in the running to get it again. So strange. So we know it's probably the more that had it, the better. But you know, we've tested in the morning. We'll see what happens.
Aside from the testing that's been in place, does it have any other changes on routines and schedules? Is all very much as it would be if life was normal? Oh,
massively. Yeah, massively. It's been an impact. It's been an impact right from, you can't come in the building. And if you come in the building, it's only the injured ones that got to come in. They come in at different times. It's scheduled. The boys are just turning up the training and train and get their kit. And then you have to get their food. Now we've got this takeaway food, which has been brilliant. So that we've got to organise that. So there's a lot of work there, but it's, you can't spend any time in any dressing room. It's bizarre, but we've even taken to doing doing meetings via Zoom with the players. So it's not ideal, and every sort of month or so it becomes different rules and different protocols put in place, and you have to adhere to them. It's not perfect, but you just get on with it.
So it's quite interesting. You talk about takeaway sort of food and that for them.
It's not Domino's or anything like that. Don't worry about that.
We had a Friday night lockdown with players recently, and we had Joe Biggott and Ollie Palmer, and they were talking about peanut chicken, like being the favourite.
The best.
Like it was like the guys were proper like buzzing over it. That and crumpets. They were talking about crumpets all the time.
Yeah, but the crumpets is a private joke. You need to go into that with them, but. The dishes we order them like 2 weeks in advance, and you've got the selection is fantastic. The company from Manchester, obviously we lost a chef in the first redundancies in March, so we've had to think outside the box, and we get delivered to Manchester, and there's a few favourites, but peanut butter chicken is right up there. It's one of mine as well, Stu, as it happens.
Yeah, I was chatting to Trev, and Trev was like all the rage. So I think Nick and I are very much looking. We got to try it, wouldn't it?
But there's always a few spares. There's always a few spares knocking about.
That's good to know. We'll bear that in mind for when we're able to come back to games. If you see us loitering around the coach afterwards, you'll know why. I should say, just Trevor Williams, of course, helps out with the kit there. That's who you're referencing there, Stu, for anyone not familiar. Talking of coaches, I mentioned there, we've had a week of 2 away games coming back off Crewe last Saturday. We had Doncaster on Tuesday. We're speaking to you on the Thursday. Again, with COVID, has that affected potentially what we can do with away games in terms of long trip up to Crewe, then a trip to Doncaster a couple of days later? Would we have considered in previous years maybe staying somewhere more local for a few days? Was that ruled out?
No, we don't. The expenses too much. We've looked into that. I mean, you can stay somewhere like St George's on the way en route, but that's too much. I mean, what it is now entailing is we're having 2 coaches. Now, them two coaches have got to have the kitchen facility to do the food. So we've got to have certain things so now we've now, instead of having 1 exec, we've got 2 exec coaches. So it's now working out whether it's cheaper. We'll go by train. The train's been brilliant up north. We go on the train. And then what we've been doing, especially with the Sunderland game, the Sunderland game was the other one. I think the whole game, not the whole game, that was one we decided to do at Doncaster. We stay up after the game. So we'll go up on the train. We'll go to the hotel. We have the pre-match. Again, the food, but the hotel you've got to yourself. They're not really open. They're like ghost out of these hotels. I know they're open for business, but we seem to have the run of the place. There's no one ever there. So we'll have a pre-match, which is fine. Obviously, you've got to sit. The table settings are so it's 2 meters, and then we go and play the game, and then we come back, stay overnight, and we got the train back. On Wednesday, they come back Wednesday after a nice breakfast. So it's the best way to prepare. It's otherwise you're going to come back you're going to come back at 3 or 4 in the morning, and then it takes, so we need to get them to their beds earlier, and it probably saving money on the fact that you have 2 executive coaches making them round trips.
And when it comes to home games, how are you finding travelling to Plough Lane? What's the traffic been like when you've been getting there?
Yes, well, with the first couple we got caught out a little bit, but I think we've been caught out a couple of times. It wasn't what we expected, but it's not bad now. Obviously, lockdown, you think there's less cars on the road, so we're getting there in time. It's just basically the meetings we'll have a Zoom meeting in the morning of the home games. Again, the criteria is saying, or the protocols are saying, we can't be in the dressing room for that much length of time. So if we normally have our meetings in the dressing room around the television, and that's deemed as not the way forward. So the boys are in there with their masks on, and they're in and out, dipping in and out. So they're saying that you can't spend more than 15 minutes in the dressing room, but we're an hour and a half before game. So while I find that really difficult, that is the worst one for me. And you've got people in there getting massages, getting in the physio room's not great. So that's a constant struggle. So you're torn between the protocols and preparing properly for a game. So I find that difficult, but we're getting there. Some of the away games, we've been in weird and wonderful places. We've been under the stand at Fleetwood in the proper concourse. Burton under the stand where the bar was. In fact, the Guinness was still on. I couldn't believe it. The Guinness was still on. But we've changed behind the goal at Bristol Rovers after the game on that EFL trophy. The boys had to come down the terrace around the pitch to go to the showers into the main dressing room with just a towel. And this is after the game, so it's things that you have to get on with and you don't moan about and you put up with. But it's far from ideal.
It is weird, isn't it? Because the Bristol Rovers game, I couldn't stop laughing. Did you
see that? Did you see him?
Yeah, I done a double take. and thinking where.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't know, because I'd have said get home. We wouldn't have done it, because then all of a sudden about COVID, you're talking about flu or anything could happen walking around there. So it wasn't until the end when I saw Mordred coming around dribs and jabs, I said, "What's going on?" And I'd have said, "No, tell it, get your gear on and let's go and let's just clear off." So it has proved that it's just little irritations. You probably best call it.
And the Bristol Rovers game makes me think. Of course, we've got a game coming up in that competition with Oxford coming up. What's your attitude been towards this competition? We've progressed further than we ever have done. Is it
my attitude all the time was it's a great competition. I know. I get the B team scenarios, and I get people trying to protect the status and thinking they're going to come and have a run on us. I understand that. The Premier League put a lot of money into it, and any competition that has Wembley at the end of it's got to be a top competition. So now we've gone further than we have, and we're gonna we're gonna try and go as far as we possibly can. At the start of the competition, it's great for you can move it around and you can put a few of the players who aren't playing on the Saturday. We play them on the Tuesday in them opening games. But now you think, we need wins. We need to get a bit of form. We need a bit of confidence. So, it's one that we're going to go and look to win. We did it at Bristol. So there's no reason why we can't.
And is it a case? I don't know if I can't remember if I asked this one before, but in years previous, we spoke about games like this, especially back in the non-league days. We have county cups and things like that. Is it sometimes preferable to have a game midweek rather than a training session, for example?
Well, it depends. These are coming. The midweek coming too thick and fast, and especially after the actual initial November the 3rd, or after the Doncaster game, we had that 2-week break, and we had that Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That was crazy, and then we seem to be catching up. Now we've had another spate of them, but I quite like getting the boys recovered. You have that week. You've got a week to build up. Now I've got a 2-day lead up to a massive home game on Saturday. You'd like a bit more time, but again, everyone's in the same boat. I think we're trying to rearrange the Ipswich game. I think the Ipswich schedule is unbelievable. I think they are playing midweek right the way through. So again, our 2-week COVID break, we missed one league game. We just missed one. We made up in the FA Cup. So again, it's we can fit that one in. We're okay.
You were talking about the protocols and stuff like that, and the difficulty in terms of training and stuff like that. Is that hindering us even more now? Because obviously, when you're on a run like we are at the moment, you want to try and get the team together, that sort of togetherness. And that is that frustrating you, or is that making a difference? Because obviously we need to try and get some results here and there, but it's difficult together.
I'm not whining at all. It's a schedule's a schedule. I mean, you'd like a full week, but then when you don't get that right result, you can't wait to play again. So you're great. There's one round the corner. So it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes you just I think if we get we win Saturday, I'd like a 3 week to lead up to Wigan away. That and then enjoy it and get to build on what we've done. But we know there's never a perfect week. You've never a perfect week. You're prepared pre-season to play whenever we're asked. And so yeah, it's if we win, you'd like a little break to enjoy it. But that on the back of a defeat, you can't wait to play again. So it's just us getting out of this this run of games and getting out of this run of results and getting a positive one and getting 3 points. And fingers crossed it's Saturday.
It's mad when you look at it, isn't it? Because you should look up to when we beat Peterborough 2-1 at home at Plough Lane, flying. As a slump surprised you in terms of that? Because it's so out. It's like a season of two halves, and it's just like really good start. Can you I know we've had a lot of you've had a lot of changes you've had to make because of has that been the difference, or can you put your finger on what it is?
No, not. But no, there's lack of concentration. There's human errors. There's things that could be avoided. I mean, the Lincoln game. That I think that most people will think that PK's made that mistake for that goal, for the winning goal. But if actually you see before that Shane McLaughlin's been pulled down, the referee, that's the worst mistake by the referee. So you're thinking, how the hell have you missed that? So there's things that you think there's human errors, lack of concentrations. The boys are working so hard. We played Doncaster Tuesday night, 31 crosses into their box. And if they win their games now, they're top of the league. So that's 31 crosses. We had 28 against Crewe. So we are still, we are playing out of 31. One's got a drop or two's got a drop. They cannot go. You cannot keep having this amount of crosses going in and not get anything from them. So it's just you take confidence from the boys. You take confidence from the boys that this is the same group of players that gave us that start at Peterborough. So it's in them. It's just sometimes you have these runs and it's gone on for far too long. And when the first hold my hands up about it, but it's how much damage they do. So we've just got to get out of this rut and get on. You can easily go on to another run. So that's the thing. These are the boys that got us up there. So it's in them. It's just keep working hard, roll your sleeves up, and just keep going, and believe.
And you've made a few changes to the squad in January. We've seen we saw Adam Roscoe depart. We've seen Anthony Hartigan go out on loan to Newport. Was that always an intention for him to get some games elsewhere, or did that come sort of out of the blue?
Yeah, well, it's funny, January. I found it really difficult last year. No one really wants to let their players. There's a domino effect, and everyone's covering themselves. So we just we had to make some quick decisions. Obviously, the first one was the goalkeeper. We had to. We've got a loan back who's contracted to Birmingham, and then we're bringing in Sam Walker, who's up in the summer to maybe hopefully possible of filling that full time, that permanent fixture. Then Seds went back. So Seds, I think, Nesta then doing bad. Paul Osu did great against Arsenal, so we could use that money elsewhere. It's always the way where you get one in, you get one out. So straight swap for the goalkeepers. Seds went out. So where do we use that money? We could only take 5 loans. You can take 6, but then if you take 6, you can only have 5 in a match day squad. So that 6th one is either going to upset the player or upset the club. So we go back to that club next year. We want this player. We won't get. Say no. You basically turned us over. So we don't want to get in that situation. And it was getting that. So obviously with Terrell, which come out of the blue.
Of course.
Who's it's really really put the cat amongst the pigeons. We had to deal with. We had to get a centre half, which we always wanted to do anyway. So that took we got DJ in. So there's that one for maybe 7. Then it was getting Jules Dobson. Had a chance to get Jules Dobson in, and then that was obviously Anthony and George out, and now Adam Roscoe. Now we're looking for that centre forward, but Centre forwards are the difficult one. Centre forwards are the one where no one wants to let their best players go. Nobody, all you can get is probably another loans from a Premier League under-23 team. Now, having said that, Ryan Longman's been outstanding, so there are some gems there. But I've got a young one with Ryan. We've got 2 experienced ones. We've got a young one that they throw at us again like a Zach. So now it's where do we go there? So I'm hoping that we've got one up our sleeve that in the next day or two before the window we'll get one in there. So it's just maybe freshen up a little bit. And just and then getting them up and running.
You said before that January is always a nightmare. In terms of last year, you said it's a desperate window. It's some sort of situations on that sort of side of it. How have you found it? Has it been more difficult with the Championship now having 9 subs on the bench? Has that made any difference? Because obviously now they've got to fill their bench now. It's crazy. 9 subs is mad, isn't it?
Yeah, we was in for one player, and that was exactly the reason. Well, he's on our bench, but there's 3 people in that position. 3 people in that position on that bench. So we're looking, and it was like it was So that was exactly it. They've got to fill their bench now. So that's been a new problem. Well, not a new problem, but that's prerogative. He's got to fill the bench, and they've got to have their players around him. And again, you're going into that last bit of the season, and everyone's keeping their cards close. And if they do a bit, it's really cloak and dagger stuff. The summer was much easier, but I'm more than happy with what we brought in, and I'm sure they'll make a big difference.
How do we get to deal with Sunderland in terms of Dobson? I know we obviously loan around local clubs, Birmingham we've gone to and stuff like that. How did the Sunderland connection?
Oh, we knew George from before. We know he was on the radar. He was at Walsall, so he went up there, and we know the position he plays. So we've got quite a good what's the word? Database of players, and we know that's how to do it. So we know, and then once the conversation came out, he was available. He played against us up there, but didn't play in his real position. He played advanced against us when we drew 1-1, and you just hear that he's available. So and he wants to come and play football, and he's a good personality. He's loud. He's vocal. And he's the right sort. He captain Walsall, so hopefully he can come in and sort of have that, and do well in that ilk and show what he's got, that leadership quality.
It sounds like a good fit in a squad. We've already said that the squad seems very tight-knit. It's got some really great characters. We've got in there, all bouncing off each other well. One element of a good team spirit, I guess, is something you've already touched on, which is confidence. When you're on a bad run of results, it can affect confidence. And you've said, from what result we had at Crewe and performance against Doncaster, it doesn't seem like confidence is so much of a problem. But is it something that would have affected you as a player? And how does it affect you as a player if you go on at a time when you've not got a win for a little while?
Yeah, I think the same. They get frustrated and they're giving everything, and they know that wasn't long ago before. I mean, I think probably some performances in these run of defeats we probably played better than we did when we was winning. So it is a head scratching one. I mean, what I like about the boys is they're so tight, but they're so tight and they're good, but they're too close, and sometimes you don't really want to upset people. Now, at times on that pitch, we've got to be a bit stronger, and then that's where the leadership comes in, and you need to be told no one. So they get told by myself and the staff anyway. But sometimes on the pitch they need to do it so that they don't want to fall out of each other. So that's the one where I'm trying to just say, look, it's not personal. But if someone's making a mistake, or someone hasn't made the right decision, or someone's done something and they continue to do that, then they need to be told. So you just need to maybe shake them up and get the group going together. So they even when we do and analyse things, we're asking people about this and ask that, and you can see they don't really want to have a go at him, or think them to be having a go at him, and it's all one of them. It's a different environment that I'm used to, and while it's healthy, you all get on. Sometimes you got to upset a few people. Sometimes you got to upset your mate. It just triggers things, and there's demands they got to put on each other. They know what I require, and they know if it's not doing it, then there's a few that need to push them and to step up. So sometimes being a good group and a friendly group and a good age can work against you. Even vocally, we're not the loudest, but they come in and they stick to the game plan. They try everything we see. And again, it's just something. You never know when it can turn. You never know when it can turn. And it's just keeping going. Like you say, confidence. The boys are good in training. A little bit low after the game the other night, as you'd expect. And then they go again, and that's how resilient they are. And being a footballer, that's what you got to be. You got to take the rough with the smooth. You just got to keep moving on.
So Jack Redoney got his goal against Bristol Rovers. Even though
he's not stopped shooting since.
That's what I was going to say to you. Like, he did say he had a celebration lined up for his first goal, and that was totally rubbish. To be fair,
right.
But yeah, it's like now it's released that sort of bit of confidence. He's shooting from distance now, which he wasn't doing before. Yeah. He's got goals in him now, hasn't he? So that's obviously giving him a little bit of confidence, that first goal.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I mean, he has. You look at the sort of player he is. He should be up there on assists, and he should be up there on goals. So he's got his goal. It was deflected, but apparently he's claimed it, and that was a low G. But again, he just showed you that with the second goal for Doncaster the other night, was deflected in past the goalkeeper. So I always say to him, we don't shoot enough. So you get an opportunity to pull the trigger. I mean, I'd probably draw the line at where he's shooting from 45 yards the other day at Doncaster, but he's got confidence in the boy, and you can't knock it. And he's good because Rudy, nothing affects Rudy. He wants to play football, and he doesn't get down, and he makes a mistake. It doesn't affect him. He just keeps going, and he's got, I like that about Rudy. He's got thick skin, and he's just got a big heart.
Yeah, he's another young player, and we have got a young squad, but they don't come across as a young squad. And by that I mean sometimes when you get younger players, people question attitude and things like that. Sometimes more plateaus at the top level where they're shrouded with lots of money at a very, very young age. But it certainly doesn't seem to be the case with our players. They're very down to earth, very grounded, and really hard working group.
Yeah, well, they want to do well. They're young boys on the start of their careers. And they know that if they do things right, they know what could be out there for them. And again, being and be the best you can be. There's a lot of competition for places. So if you get that shirt, you got to stay in. You got to stay in the team, and you got to keep pushing and keep improving. So yeah, they're brilliant to work with. Like I say, every day is a great day. Every day is a smile on their face. They've not been once down, which again I think they just believe the same as me. They know that what they're capable of doing. So you never lose sight of that. Because that's what you work for. That's what you work for every day. And there's big rewards for the boys who live properly, live their life, eat properly, work hard off the pitch, work hard in the gym. I mean by that, we'll do extras. There's big rewards for them. So when you're a young boy now, there's big carrots out there to toe the line and make the most out of what they got. So
Saturday brings the most weirdest game. We know we're going to have to play them at some point. No fans. How are you going to approach it? Because it's a big profile game in terms of fans look at it, but it's going to be an empty stadium. How do you approach that?
Well, I think all the home games have been difficult without the fans. I think that's been across the board. I think we've played one game in front at Charlton, and Bradbury. You think, wow, you have missed that. So every game's been difficult. It's not been the same. We looked this week. We've been going over some stuff from last year in lockdown. We made some videos and some clips. The players actually made them, and we put it all together. And we looked at our strengths and what we did. And you go to Kings Meadow and it's ran absolutely packed, and we're scoring and we're celebrating, and it looks a different game. It looks a completely different game. So it's going to be it's more difficult without the fans. As the game, we understand what it means. I particularly understand what it means. There's probably some we're basically telling them what it is, but you can't lose sight of the fact that it's an opportunity to win. We can't go in, we can't go in losing our edge. We can't go in thinking it's different. This is a different feel to it. I think you can see the stats show, the figures show that they give their all every single game. Yeah, there's an edge to it, but we can't let that edge lose our focus or lose our concentration. So they know how special it is, and they will know the next. They know today, they'll find out again tomorrow. And again, like your Rudies and the people who've been here for a while, they know anyway. So you don't have to put that message out. The message isn't wasted on them. And let's say without the fans is a big thing, but we've just got to make sure that we don't take our eye off the ball and it doesn't get too emotional, as it was, as a word of putting it, but not get carried away with the occasion.
So we've got some big players out at the moment in terms of Hennigan and Palmer and that. Are you hopeful that they will be returning shortly, or are you going to protect them a little bit? Because it's a difficult one, is it? You don't want to come in and
we can't protect them. We got to get them back in. We need all the hands to the pump. So it's like a bit like Luke. Luke came on against was it Sunderland? Then is it Sunderland or Portsmouth? He's had I can't remember where he played.
On a home game, didn't he?
Sunderland. He came against Sunderland, played an hour against Pompey. And then I felt his thigh against Crewe, and he felt his thigh. So those one, and then you tap them in, you put them in, you get them out. So we haven't got the luxury of having like the 23s game or a couple of reserve games. That's that midweek one as well. You've got players who need an 11v11, but you can't do that because you've match preparing, and the next day you're preparing. I think after the Oxford game, we've got 11v11 penciled in, so Ben will be involved in that, and hopefully Ollie. So that's how close they are. So once they've got that under their belt, then we go again. So yeah, we haven't got time to wait. We need all hands to the pump, and once they're fit and once they're in the group, they say they'll be there.
And that freak injury for Paul Cannon-Baye at Crewe, you just think you're lucked out. What's the chance of that?
I feel for the boy. It's a holding that's meant to be a metre. They said it's a metre from that byline. And it probably is bang on a metre, but the metre's not big enough. That's a frozen ball, and it's done quite a lot of damage. So that's not normally that shouldn't be there in the first place. Now I know it's the money spinner, but you think, wow, this boy's done that on a frozen advertising order. And that for me is, it's a tough one to take. It must be terrible for him. He's got to have an operation on Monday, and fingers crossed we know how long he'll be.
Well, we wish him the best. We obviously send our wishes to Terrell as well, and I hope he's recovering well. We just wish you the best of luck, Glyn, for Saturday and getting a result. A really, as Stu says, a really bizarre fixture at the best of times, let alone this season. We've got great memories of beating Milton Keynes a couple of years ago with Stu's favourite ever player, Lyle Taylor, scoring a famous goal. To end on a positive, Glyn, that's a great memory for us. For you as a player for Wimbledon, what was a particular highlight? What one memory sticks out with a crowded Plough Lane? What sort of sticks in the memory?
I think our first win there in the old First Division. I think we lost at Man City and got. I think it was. There's a video out there somewhere where Bassett hammers us at Main Road, and then we play Aston Villa on a Tuesday night, and we win 3-2, and I scored the first goal on the right foot. And that was all of a sudden you think, wow, we've got half a chance here. We can live with this company. So that was the first game, and that was a big win for us. And I say, it gives you that belief, or gives you that little bit of oomph to take it forward. So that one for me, maybe they've just caught me off the hop. The others, cup games, Everton was magnificent. Forest, when we beat him in the Milk Cup when we was a league below. Scored that there as well. I'm just going back when I scored.
Reel off your goals, yeah, that's fine.
We've had some great nights, and there's going to be loads more. Can't wait for it to happen again.
Yeah, do you know what? Very quickly, I think I see a goal you scored against Watford. I think when you sort of took a touch and then slided it. I've literally gone back to watching old games. Just
do you know that goal took us top of the league? We went top of the league. That night we went top of the league. Top of the First Division.
Every time you beat Watford, you deserve to go top of the league as far as I'm concerned.
But we can't wait. Do you know what? We've been up at our lane, and you look at that ground and you think, midweek under the lights, I think the atmosphere will be amazing. It's just so disappointing we've got to wait a bit longer and be patient, but it's ready.
You just got to keep fingers crossed it's going to be this season. I mean, that's at least we get some in this season or someone. It's the way it's drifting on. It's going to be February. It's going to be March. Then you think, April. You think, well, how many games are actually going to be left? Do you know what I mean? That's the. I hope it's this season, but if it's not, I can imagine the first game of the season next season. Blimey.
Get a pre-season friendly.
A few tickets are on the black market. There'll be a few quid, won't they?
Yeah, I can see it outside Plough Lane.
Yeah, tickets out.
Cure around the block. Glyn, thank you very much for taking the time. We know you've got to shoot off, but most appreciated. And again, just repeat what we say. All the best for Saturday.
Yes, for his first game.
See you later. Yes, mate. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Cheers, Glyn. See you later. Now, Stu, I said in the past about managers, and when you look at manager, and I know people are going to be laughing because I'm going to mention Neil Ardley's name here, but I always held up Neil Ardley, and I thought when Neil Ardley was in charge, we could all say, I'm proud that he's our manager because he's just such an upstanding guy. And it's the same for Glyn. It really is. It's like when you look at your football club, you feel like your manager represents You as a club, it represents you as a person. And I think we can all say Glyn is a top guy and a fantastic representative for our football club.
Yeah, and obviously people can't see the audio, can't see the video. We may look at doing the video side.
They can't see the audio, no.
Sorry, yeah, but you can. Oh dear, you can obviously see, you see body language and that. But I think we haven't gone in hard in terms of what's gone before because that's gone. But you can definitely see that positivity that he's bringing to that squad, and that's what he needs to do. Interesting to say that he thinks they're too nice. I agree.
We've said
they
that,
are. They are too nice, aren't they? You do need someone to give them a bit of a rollicking. I sort of remember back to. I remember when Darius, I think, joined us, and he used to slaughter the goal. I can't remember who the goalkeeper was at the time, but
Kelly Roos?
It might have been, and he probably deserved it, to be fair, Kelly. But what I mean is he wasn't frightened to call somebody out, was he?
Yeah.
And I get that. And maybe they'll develop that side. But he's very positive, isn't he? And hey, look, you're not going to get out of this by being negative on that side of it. But I sort of wish that Saturday's game wasn't our next game. I just think it's, yeah.
Hey, we've got to win sometime.
Exactly.
So there's not a better opponent to beat when you're looking for a win after a long time. We talked about the age of the players and the age of the squad, and you've mentioned there about being too nice, perhaps at times. Is this a millennial thing? Now, for the wrestling fans out there, you're going to be hearing Vince McMahon's voice. These not lazy, but these millennials, the millennial types that were all a little bit too nice, because Glyn came from the era of the Crazy Gang, and there were no prisoners in that dressing room whatsoever. But that certainly has changed over the years in the way we sort of deal with things. But it's no bad thing. Yes, you mentioned Darius. We still have the individuals that break the mold in that case. But as a general, around society, around football, certainly, it does seem to be a general thing, isn't it? Where millennials are perhaps a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Safer?
Yeah, just too nice, aren't they? They're just too nice. Don't want to say boo to it. Like, I look at players sometimes, and like Diego Costa, when he was at Chelsea. Yeah. I used to like him because he just didn't give him, he liked rattling players. And like, you can imagine him in a Crazy Gang, being you're playing against a Crazy Gang. He would have a field day. It's sometimes too nice, isn't it? I haven't got a problem with, I was looking at Widgeard when he got booked on Tuesday against Doncaster. I know people were saying it was a silly booking. But actually, you could just tell it was annoying him that they were just passing around him, and he just wanted to get his foot in. Nothing ever wrong with that. The problem is whenever Woodard does it, he basically has a booking in him straight away, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? But I don't have an issue with that. And I said to you before, we're literally, I think, second in the fair play table. I do not want to win that fair play table. Especially if you go down, because it shows you that you just haven't got amongst people, and you still have to do that. If the best teams in this league are down the bottom of the fair play table, and there's a reason for that.
I was brought up, Stu, on the era of Eric Cantona, Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira. These were the players. You hated playing against them for precisely those reasons, but they were winners. And that's what we had. And hey, look, Jamie Stewart, Danny Kedwell. No more questions, Your Honour. Lyle Taylor.
Yeah. I think Danny Kedwell actually signed back for a club. I think he's gone back to another club. But I don't know how old he is now. Do you know what I mean? But he's still about, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like, John May's now sitting doing nothing, and Kedwell's still out there on the pitch.
Maybe it's the name Danny Bullman, Danny Kedwell.
Yeah,
I can't think of any others.
Danny Bullman's just a freak, isn't it?
You can say that to him.
Well, yeah, it is. Do you know what I mean? But it's good. It's good that he's kept his body going to that age.
Looking back over previous players, as we've just done there, Stu, brings us on to the On This Day, the Zach Robinson This Day game, in inverted commas. Stu, do you remember who we played on the 29th of January, 1997?
1997. So at least it's in the Premiership, so that's a good chance.
It is.
Let's go for Everton.
It wasn't Everton. I'll give you a hint. This was the second of 3 games against this opponent in a very short space of time.
But that would be Tottenham.
No, that was 2 years later.
Leicester?
Nope.
Okay, I'm doing well now.
Famous FA Cup win.
We had lots of famous FA Cup wins.
This is a pretty famous one.
Would this be Liverpool?
No.
Might be you know what? I'm asking a question. That might be in 1997. That was Was that year we got into League Cup and the FA Cup?
Mm-hmm. Who did we famously knock out of the FA Cup after in a replay?
Oh, Mr. Gale.
There we go.
United.
Yes, Manchester United now. It's not the 1-0 replay victory that happened on this day. It was, in fact, the league game at Old Trafford, the sort of forgotten game, because we had the Robbie Goal. Robbie Goal scored a great Earl at Old Trafford. A injury time equaliser from Robbie Earl, having conceded in the 89th minute to Paul Scholes, got the equaliser. But this was the league game in between. Do you remember the scoreline at Old Trafford?
Do you know what? The bad thing is I was probably there.
Probably. I'd say almost definitely.
Yeah, can I think of what the score would have been? Was that a game we lost 2-0?
No, that was the following year.
Okay.
But it's close.
Yeah, 3-1.
2-1.
Cool, that's close.
You won't remember who scored for us this day, but I'll give you one guess because it'll be amazing if you get it.
Who scored that day?
For us, yeah.
Chris Perry.
Well done. Look at that. Chris Perry from a corner.
And the reason I say that is because I remember seeing that. I mean, like I say, I'm watching quite a lot of old stuff. So yeah, the Chris Perry one on that. I tell you what I did see, by the way, take off topic, when we beat Arsenal 3-1 at Highbury.
Yes, yeah. Do you know what? This is really strange too, because only yesterday, so Wednesday, I was at my parents' and there was nothing on TV. So we just started watching old YouTube clips of famous games from back in the day. And there are things like the 3-1 over Arsenal, the 1-0 over Arsenal where Michael Hughes did the little skill in the corner to take out two defenders. Yeah. But I remember the 3-1 was that was December time, wasn't it?
It was. We had a sort of, we sort of played Arsenal quite a lot midweek at Highbury, which was just even better. Highbury was just a great place to watch football, and we had quite a decent record there before they got rid of it. But yeah, off topic. Yeah, but Chris Perry, yeah, corner, celebrate. We didn't celebrate, did he? He just didn't know what to do. Bless him. He just doesn't score, does he?
It was a very strange celebration, as you'd expect, because he did never score a goal. What was frustrating about watching that game back was the fact that Manchester United's equaliser was a Ryan Giggs header from a corner, which I didn't think would ever happen. Like, Ryan Giggs I can't recall him ever scoring a header, to be honest with you, but he did. David Beckham corner, Ryan Giggs header, and Andy Cole scored the winner late on. But something interesting about that game was that the bar was hit on 4 separate occasions. Very random. No, 3 times by Man United, but once by Marcus Gale. Right, we've stuck a long ball down, like long ball up the pitch. Marcus Gale with his first touch, similar to his goal against Chelsea. Just first touch, brought it down instantly, but also took out 2 Man United players at the same time, and then just set it up perfectly to him to shoot from like 30 yards. Comes back off the bar. If it had gone in, we'd still be watching that goal. It might have been the greatest ever goal in Premiership history, but.
You know, with Marcus Gale, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because obviously a lot of the newer fans, younger fans, will just remember him as a centre half at the end of his career.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough to see him at the start of his career, and he was an exciting winger, forward. Do you know what? He had a lot, and obviously he played for Jamaica, didn't he? With Robbie Earl and that side of it, and because no one else could get in the England side because they just Robbie Earl, any other club walks into that England side.
Yeah.
It's strange how you look at players, isn't it? I say Marcus Gale will be remembered as centre half at AFC Wimbledon, but yeah, when he had his legs about him, when he was fit and younger, as he probably will not be too impressed, he was a very good player.
Fantastic player. That goal at Chelsea, forever to be remembered.
With a Neil Ardley 40-yard goal.
Yeah, with Kevin Hitchcock, I don't know, grasping at thin air, but hey, happy days indeed. Right, very quickly before we sign off, Stu, prediction for Saturday, Milton Keynes, get out of the way.
Oh dear. I can't say we're going to lose because no one ever says that. I don't see us winning, if I'm being honest with you. So I'll go for a goalless draw.
I am not going to make a scoreline prediction because I genuinely can't judge. When you go on a run of 10 games without a win like we're on, that run has to end sometime. It would be the best place for it to end is against them. But all I will say, Stu, is whatever happens, we are the winners because they stole our league place and then less than 20 years later, where's it got them?
All I say, from a totally looking at a football without looking at who the team is coming to us, they will pass the ball around for fun. So we won't have much of the ball. But then, you know what? I'm a really sad person, as you know. Only in 2 games this season have we had more possession than the opposition all season. Do you want to guess who they are against?
Which teams we've had more possession
than? So more, yeah.
One of these I think I do know, but I forgot. I think one of them, it can't be Milton Keynes because they pass the ball around for fun.
No, they beat everybody in possession.
Yeah. Was one of the Oxford games randomly where we had more possession?
No, we had 50% on one of those games against them. It was Northampton and Gillingham.
Oh, well, of course, Gillingham. Yeah.
But not that possession means you should win games, because we all saw Leicester in that season. But yeah, we're going to be chasing the ball a lot on Saturday. It's just about our shape and kicking them as much as we can. And Joe, I would predict, I reckon there might be a sending off on Saturday.
Wouldn't surprise me, but hopefully we will send them off back to franchise land with nothing except a kick up the arse, which they deserve. Well, Stu, thank you very much for joining me. One thing we haven't done this week is a shout out and a call out. I didn't prepare them because I knew we had Glyn on the show, but I will just do a very quick call out to Chelsea, as always, for sacking a manager again. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd that they've got rid of another young English manager. People can talk about the fact he's gone at a young age, earning his career into such a big job. Doesn't matter. Ridiculous. They're whatever they think they do with managers. The Abramovich win at all costs, no long-term strategy, no long-term planning. Yeah, I just think is bollocks, to be honest with you. And I continue to hate Chelsea with every fibre of my being. I hate Milton Keynes more than any other club, but the gap to my second most hated, which is Chelsea, is virtually non-existent. I hate them so much. Watford are a bit of a more distant third.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you know what? Lampard knew what he was going. You know, when you go to Chelsea, you're going to end. You're basically going to be sacked, and you get a nice payoff. Not that he needs the money. Just to be fair, he doesn't need that payoff, does he? But I think, do you know what? And I don't have any time with Chelsea fans, but I think this one has got to them because obviously Lampard was such a good player for them.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what? I had this conversation. I don't mean to make this Chelsea show or anything like that, but I really do not like Chelsea. I hate Chelsea. And Frank Lampard, I can give or take. I think Alex Jones is a better presenter of the One Show than Frank Lampard's wife ever was. But Frank Lampard, in terms of Chelsea, they had John Terry, and they hailed John Terry as some sort of hero and god. But realistically, like I said to you about Glyn Hodges, when you want someone to represent your football club, Chelsea would be much better off being represented by somebody like Frank Lampard than they would be somebody like John Terry. That's where I'll leave that one. And just say, yeah, that's it for this week. So thank you very much for joining us. And thanks again to Glyn for taking the time to speak to us. Very busy schedule for him right now, so it was very good of him to take the time to speak. Stu, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next Friday. Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last, 2 + 2 = 4. We all hate Chelsea. We hate Chelsea and we hate Chelsea. We hate Chelsea and we hate Chelsea. See you next week.